Welcome to The Top, the podcast that provides you with what you need to succeed in the real estate world. Brought to you by the Collin County Association of Realtors. Get ready to tackle top real estate topics in bite-sized amounts with CCAR President Shana Acquisto and Jonna Fernandez, CCAR's Chief Operating Officer.
Hi, Shana.
Hi, Jonna.
Welcome to The Top.
I'm happy to be here.
Are you excited about today's topic and guest?
This is an easy and enthusiastic yes for me, and I think this conversation will be helpful for our listeners as well.
I think it will too. And if you currently work with your spouse or life partner, or you're considering doing it in the future, this is the episode for you. Today we're joined by Mike Acquisto, broker and co-owner of Acquisto Real Estate. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Hello.
This is going to be fun. I can already tell. So, Mike, you were in the real estate business before Shana. Do you remember, was there a specific time or conversation when you two decided to work together professionally?
You know, from the moment I met her, I was just all in on everything, right? So that's how our relationship started. I just saw her one day and it was like, yep, that's it. And you just kind of know, right? You have a conversation and it just feels right. And you want to spend time with somebody. So my wife and I, we definitely wanted to just be together all the time and always be present for our children as well. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of one of our core beliefs, is to just be able to spend time together and have time with our children. So,
yeah. You know, I had the pleasure of getting to know both of you better in Chicago this past summer, and I remember hearing this story about how you two met and just the love that you have for each other. That is just one of the best stories. And so I love to hear that you want to spend as much time, together as you can, and then supporting your children on top of that while you're working together. That's a great thing. I'm sure it's not easy at times, but it's great that, we have two individuals here who have done that so successfully and who are going to share with us today. So, keeping all that in mind, can you tell us what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of working as a real estate team with your spouse?
I think the first thing you have to do is you have to learn how to survive first. And our real estate journey started with something really basic. Like, we needed to have enough money to buy groceries, right? And sometimes you forget where you started. And our journey started with, taking account of how much food we had in the pantry, right? And making sure that we had enough until the next closing, so to speak. And that's where it started. And then the journey just continues from there, right? We can talk more about that.
We did define success one time, right? As a full pantry and a full tank of gas, and we're like, all right, this is good. It's kind of scary to think back on that now, but yeah, we've just always enjoyed being with each other. And it is kind of odd to me that I do hear from a lot of people that I could never work with my spouse, or it's just impossible. But we've never felt that way. And I think it's, I don't know, it's such a blessing to me that we've been able to do it. We both kind of do different things. We've transitioned into different parts of our business, but we know everything that's going on. We're in control of it, and maybe that's part of it. We're a little controlling, but we have our hands on everything that's going on, and we can control it and know and get to spend time together. I mean, I don't know, we're just, maybe we're rare, but we are best friends and we get to do this together, and there are ups and downs to it, but I wouldn't change a thing.
No,
right?
I would agree with that. I don't think there's many men that were boys and they grow up and they think about what they want to do when they grow up, right? And I don't think there's many people that say, I want to be a realtor and sell residential real estate.
So let's talk a little bit about boundaries, okay?
Okay.
So how do you manage the personal and professional boundaries between your relationship and your work?
We don't. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Well, that was short and sweet.
I'm going to let you answer that. I can't wait to see if our answers match.
At different times, the answer would be different. And in the beginning, you just have to pour everything that you have into the business to be successful. And whatever the hours are, they are what they are. Whatever you have to do, You have to get over that hurdle, and you have to put in the effort. And then once you have the success, then you can start looking at doing other things. And those would include setting boundaries, right? So fast forwarding to today, I do have boundaries that I try to put in for our own benefit. And, so I've changed my work schedule and how I work, and I've turned my phone off, and I've done certain things in my career as we've gotten to different places that are important to me. So I feel like I can be more present for my wife, for everyone that's around us. But you can't do that until you can fill your pantry, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the higher level things to get to, is being able to set the boundaries. But you'll know right away if you can work with your spouse or not. It'll be very, very evident.
Yeah. And it's, no, it's not easy every day. And there's days where, we like to we kind of have this thing where Sundays are days to talk about things that were great during the week or were not great during the week. And if something comes up during the week and we're super busy, and instead of it distracting us from our routine, we say, we're going to take that and put that on Sunday's agenda to talk about. So that way it doesn't derail our whole week, right? And we push it so we can stay focused on the important things throughout the week.
Yeah, maybe, Shana, if we describe that just a little bit, our Sunday meeting,
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be important. So, what we do is we try to go over finances. So if I talked about our best Sunday meetings, what they would entail is us talking about our finances, comparing where we stand now over where we did, the previous period, mm-hmm. how much cash we have on hand, where our accounts are, where our debts would be if if that was applicable at the time. And then we would talk about major things that we want to do for the week. And we'd kind of go over each department that we have. And we'd talk about like where we are in technology. And it would kind of almost be, how far behind are we on what we're supposed to do tech, Mike? And, so we'd go over that, and where are we on growing our business, and how are we helping this person at our brokerage? And, but we would discuss all those things. Then we also would talk about some family things during that. So we would talk about each one of our boys and how they're doing and what's going on with them, and then how our relationship is. And, yeah.
We still like each other. Okay. We'll
Yeah.
move on to the next week.
Meeting adjourned.
I like that. Okay, so can you both share with us, what are some of the challenges unique to being a husband and wife real estate team? And when those challenges come about, how do you overcome them?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I would first say that we're not a real estate team, and we never have been. What we try to do is we try to change our vernacular, and when we change our words, and we're very precise about it, what it does is it helps us shift our mindset. Mm-hmm. So what we've had from the beginning is a real estate family. And
because we are a family, so we try to take everything that we practice, and that's kind of how we run our brokerage too.
I like that, okay.
Yeah, so we change a bunch of different words around what we do. Mm-hmm. So we don't have clients, right? Or we don't have leads. We have friends that we work with. Because if you're ever going to tell somebody like, hey, one of the core things in real estate is you have to have more contacts, and you have to make more phone calls, and you have to reach out to people every day. You'll hear people talking about that all the time. And they're always talking about a lead. Well, if you say pick up the phone and call 10 leads, you're like, ugh, and it just feels bad. But if you say, can you call 10 friends? And you just change the word, it feels a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And then you'll have more success or be more likely to do it. So a team is maybe for a season. That's kind of like the word would imply. But a family, that has a different timeline on it than being part of a team.
Yeah.
And when you can do that, then you can plan accordingly, and you can make different decisions when you're around for a longer period of time, not for a season.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Okay.
And I think as far as, boundaries, and I really don't think that I think this is a one-way street here. If I get super stressed and, I'm struggling with this or struggling with that, I can go to Mike and he can be like, okay, and he'll stop what he's doing and take his time to somehow he just can get me through whatever that situation is, and I feel great at the end of it. I don't think I do that for him, and I'm sorry about that, but I feel like that has been such a great blessing for me being in this business and us working together, that, that other people don't have that. Because you can just let things keep piling up, and then you still have your family at home. You have your spouse who's not, has no idea what's going on, and they can't be as sympathetic because they don't know that. Right. But I mean, you're really good at that for me. And sometimes I'll get stressed out, and you're like, okay, hold up, take a minute. And sometimes he knows, like, this isn't the time for me to talk to you, and he'll just know to walk away. But he's good at, hey, let's talk about this, and dissect the problem and identify it and talk through it. And then it's totally good. But, you also have to, we used to do this before the pandemic, but we would try to take time for us. And it was easier to do as our kids got older, but taking a long weekend, right? And we have a transaction coordinator that is amazing. I mean, she is truly a great asset to us. But having her and having the decision to have that person enables us to be able to go. Because if you don't get away, then things, they do pile up, and you are not the best you can be. And things fall through the cracks, and you miss things, and you're just not fully intentional with what you want to do because you've just worked yourself to death. So taking that time together is really important, and I think it's been really good for us. I think another thing that's really important is, and it's really not just if you work with your spouse, but since we've worked together, we are in our office. I mean, we're now on web meetings and things early at 6:30, but we are in the office dressed and ready to go by 8 o'clock every day. We have our own desk. It's like we home office, but we report to the office, and you're professional, and you have to stick to that and have that discipline to do that. And then it seems like, I think that's a big factor in success too. If you get up and you're like, well, I got laundry to do, and and you don't really separate work from life, I guess, I think that's makes it difficult. So.
Well, good points. I've learned a lot just in this short time that we've talked to each other. So I want to kind of get back a little bit to something that you had said earlier, Shana. So towards the beginning, you mentioned that you and Mike focus on different aspects of your business sometimes. So how do you divide those roles and responsibilities and in order to maximize efficiency and productivity and make sure that your whole family, real estate family, is working at its best?
Yes, so I don't know that everyone understands how difficult it is to be a top achieving agent, broker, realtor. It's incredibly difficult. It might be one of the most difficult jobs you could possibly have. So if you look at the skill sets that you need to be able to have sales skills, right? Then you need to have analytical skills. Then you have to be able to market. But then you have to have a design aspect to what you're doing. So you're using all types of your brain, right? Then you have to do things where you have to be a self-starter, which is a huge deal. Then you have to have the financial component that you can take care of all of that, because there are great times and there are times that real estate's not as great, right? And so you start adding all those different skill sets up, and you're like, who is the person that can do this? And you have to be able to have a person trust you, and then you have to share with them. And you're a counselor at times. So you start looking at the skill set of what a top agent is and what they really need. And it's immense. It's really, really difficult to be that person. And fortunately, I married Shana, and it made it easy from there. So we
definitely made it easy for me because, and I think our roles too is, I know enough tech to get by, but I don't want to do that. But in our business, you have to have that technology. It's vital to our profession. So the fact that I can have Mike, kind of do that technology side, and I sponsor the agents, and I'm there on that side. So we've just kind of decided this is what I'm great at, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I'm not passionate about, and it just kind of organically divided into these roles that we have. But just identifying, those things, I think is important.
If I was to say when we first started, where it really began was, we had to put food on the table. And Shana was the one out selling. I never actually sold. So that was a real core thing to what we did, is I never went out and showed homes. So my job was to fully support Shana in any way I could, so she could do the most important thing, which is be in front of the client. So, I mean, I don't know your premium year in sales, but you were a star agent for sure. And what that would mean is that she would drive anywhere. So she would sell a home on this side of the Metroplex and then that side of town and then have a meeting over here. And she was literally crisscrossing the Metroplex every day, taking everything. And she just said yes and fully leaned in. And that was a lot on her. So what I tried to do is all the other things, right, to help support it. And whether that was to get the leads, to do whatever those things were in the beginning, right? And then as our careers evolved, we got to a point where now, yes, we need to bring in new leads in bulk. So that meant technology, and that's where we ended up going. But you have to understand that I'm in technology now as it relates to real estate, just because it was about starting with leads, and then doing them in bulk, and tech's really the answer to that. So that's how we got here.
Yep.
Good. Okay, so in any relationship, our personal relationships, our business relationships, conflict is bound to happen from time to time. We might disagree on things. So when you have something that comes up, how do you handle those conflicts and disagreements?
Shopping.
Oh.
I'm out. No.
Yeah, I guess we're pretty fortunate that we're both level-headed. We understand where we're going. Neither one of us does anything wrong, so to speak, right? No, we really don't. There's certain things that you just are non-starters in relationships. And if there's any of those, then you just shouldn't be in that relationship, right? So, and a marriage is like the ultimate partnership. And for that to work and for two people to truly become one, those things can't exist. And so as long as you take all of the super bad things off the table, then everything else is not really an issue. And ironically, I embrace small problems. And when I say that all the time, people are like, I don't know why, right? But I embrace a small problem, because then what it does is it eliminates a large problem. So if you can address that small problem and say thank you for it. So you imagine the mindset in which that is when something comes up, a bump in the road for you, right? Whatever that bump in the road today is. If it's a small bump and you address it and say thank you and you're happy for it, right? Isn't that a crazy mindset shift versus taking and being upset when something comes up?
Well, that's how we've learned.
Yeah.
Right?
You eliminate the big problem.
And we are also the mindset, if everyone's doing things a traditional way, we like to do the opposite. But it's kind of funny how this is kind of an example of how it goes, is I'll see something and I'm like, oh, this is great. I wish we could do this. I bring it to him and it magically gets done, which is great. But, I'll see these things that I think are important in our business and, take it to him to implement. And we try to do it in a way that fits us, that is, our moral values, just how it fits for us. And that's really great.
If anyone wants an example of that, so Shana got this super premium listing. It was really important to her that she did a great job. And she comes home and she's like, Mike, we're going to get this opportunity to do this. We have to do the best job we possibly could. I'm like, yeah, we do that every day, right? Like, that's what we do. And so she goes out on the internet and starts searching. So she types in, like, award-winning best single property website for the year, and up come the results, right? And it's like the top 10. So she goes through and she looks at everybody's top 10 results of the single best property you could have to represent just one property. And so she picks through them all, and then she picks the one that's like ranked number one on every single site. And then she says, this one's really good, but could you do this better? And could you have it done next week? And it was just like, whoa.
No pressure.
Yeah, right? Like,
No pressure.
Can you just be better than the best, right? And do it right away. And this is important to me. Don't forget that this is like the biggest deal ever, right? And I said, okay, fine. We can do that. And here's how we could do it. So we embraced it. And then we had to find a different way to show something, right? So.
And we did it.
Yeah.
And so first, Mike contacted that company just to get more information. I don't know. I think it was like $300,000 for this video. It's like, well, we can't do that. So
No,
we did
$300,000. And that's what she asked me. She said, can we just be better than this? And they spent $300,000 to do it. Wow. And it took them 3 months. And she's like, can we just have it right away with virtually no budget?
I say next weekend cheaper.
That's for sure. Yes. But it's things like that. And I just, he did not pay me to say this, I promise. But he's so calm and just so good for me. I'm not always that calm from my standpoint, but again, when you have that conflict, you can let it derail your week, but it goes back to we'll have those meetings on Sunday. And it's like, Mike, what about this? We need to do this. And he's like, pause that, flip it to Sunday, move on with your week, and then we'll pick that up on Sunday. So that way I don't keep stressing about it and it, affect all the other things that we have going on for that week. So I think those Sunday meetings, and we've even, we didn't really realize how beneficial that they are, but we start talking about them, and we've given this advice to friends of ours who, are not in real estate, but just how do we get on the same page? And I think that's a really good thing to adopt.
And I feel that we were just as rich the first day we started real estate as we are today, right?
Yeah.
And so now we do have things like we put together net worth statements, and it's incredibly fun to be able to do and to sit down and say like, hey, this is where we're at today. And the journey to get there, I think it's important for people to kind of understand that first you put the food on the table, right? And you take care of yourself. And then after you've done that, then you have our journey went next to taking care of our client and truly caring about them and forgetting about the money. So once we did that, our business doubled. As soon as we fully gave back to our client, our business doubled. And it was really good in that regard. And then after we decided we needed to give back selflessly to our clients, we decided to give back to charities and to other groups, and then to the industry.
We love to give, and giving back, and that's kind of, I'm in the role that I'm in now because we're very fortunate that we've been independent, right? Mike was my sponsoring broker, and that's a whole other story that's a little scary to look back on, but we made it to here, and we do feel a duty to give back to the industry that provided for us.
Jonna, so if I was to give you a couple of words that I think help people out, is you have to care.
Okay, yeah.
It has to matter to you as an agent or as a supporting spouse, no matter which way it is. And that comes through, right? So caring's a big word. And in real estate, we use all these different words that really make a difference, like the word home. And if you just think about that word for just a minute, right? Home. It has just the feelings that go through you. And then you say, family, right? And then there's a couple of other words that I like in real estate. My two favorite words are home and office, and then you combine them and it creates home office. And like, how good is that you can work from home?
Yeah.
In real estate all the time? We've never had an office. And that's been tremendous for us. Between all the time savings, the money savings, the extra efficiency in which we can do, but then the fact that we could always be with our children and be present. So we never missed a single event for our boys. I was the team coach. Shana was the team mom for everything for 3 boys all the way through. And they did like every sport, every event you could possibly do. And we were at every single thing, and always, Shana was always the super top salesperson. So it's all possible.
Life is short, have fun, and if you're you obviously married your spouse for a reason. They should be that person for you. And if they're not, then have that talk on Sunday.
Well, Mike, I want to thank you so much for coming in and talking with us today, and to both of you for being so open and honest and willing to share with others. Because as I mentioned, I've learned some really great things, and there's just a lot of value in what you both had to say today. So thank you for your willingness to share that.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
And as
Thanks, Mike.
no problem.
Hey, you've been my favorite guest so far.
So before we let both of you go, is there any last words of wisdom or anything that maybe we didn't cover that you would like our listeners to know?
Yeah, I definitely have some items there, right? So
Let's hear them.
Careful.
When you start your journey, Sean at least had several people that she looked up to in her real estate journey. And there was, whomever they were that blazed a trail before her, right? And there's all these motivational people out there within the real estate industry. And she's gotten to meet them, to work with them, to do whatever that is, to do a transaction. And now all of a sudden, we're at this amazing point in our career where there's all these people that are coming back to her, and she is that person for them. So as you start your journey,
that. I'm like, wait a minute.
No, so it's a real thing, and it's been an amazing thing to be able to watch. So as you're starting your career, realize that if you do it right and you selflessly give back, you will become that person that inspires the next great generation.
Good point.
Good
Very
points, Mike. Thank you.
Well, thank you both.
Yeah.
For those listening, thanks for hanging out with us, and don't forget to subscribe to Welcome to the Top wherever you get your podcasts. Also, leave us a review. We want to know how we're doing. If you have a question or topic you'd like us to cover in the future, feel free to email us at ask@welcometothetop.com and then listen to hear us talk about it.
We can't wait to hear from you. Thank you for listening, and keep building for our future.
Special thanks to our hosts, Jana Fernandez and Shana Acquisto. Producer, Bree Westbury. Audio engineer, Mike Maples. Outreach and Guest Relations Manager, Kendall Crawford. And podcast administrator, Sean Offsall. Tune in next time, and don't forget to enjoy your journey to the top. The statements made by speakers in this podcast do not necessarily represent the views or position of the Collin County Association of Realtors, its leadership, or its members. This podcast is not intended to give legal, financial, medical, or other advice, but simply to provide information as a springboard to further discussion and investigation.